Hey everybody, David Huckins here, Social Equity in Missouri Cannabis. I had a great time this past Friday at the Kansas City NORML 10-year anniversary party where I was a guest speaker, among others. I did record the event. Some reason only a few of the speaking events turned out to be usable. So enjoy what I do have and stay tuned for more.
Give it up for David.
All right. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Yeah. Can everybody in the back hear me? No? Okay. All right. So I'm David Huckins. Some of you might know me. I have a couple podcasts I do. Social Equity in Missouri Cannabis, where I talk about different vendors in the cannabis space, and it also kind of chronicles my experience obtaining a micro business license in Missouri. The other podcast I do is the Slightly Informed Opinions of Dave, the Weedcast. That's more of an interview style. Some of the people in here have been guests on my show. Before I did that, in 2024, I got a micro business license. I entered the lottery, my wife and I got a dispensary license. My wife didn't win. We're still married. It's okay. When that happened, I really didn't know what to do. I was kind of lost. I didn't have any business experience. I had some industry experience, but I was kind of just lost. So one of the assets that I had available to me, as the Division of Cannabis Regulation had posted a contact list for the other micro businesses. So I started reaching out to them, and I realized that most of these people were just as lost as I was. They didn't know who a banker, they couldn't find a banker, they couldn't find a realtor, they couldn't find a lawyer. And I was passing this information from person to person on calls, and I realized that pretty quickly that was very inefficient. So I got together a weekly call, and the format was pretty basic. It was about an hour and a half long. For the first 50 minutes or 15, 20 minutes, I'd do a little introduction. And then after that, we'd have a couple industry guests on that talk about different stuff related to the cannabis industry. And then we talk about current events in the cannabis realm, stuff that is specific to Missouri, but not always. And the last half of the show is 30 minutes of just open call where anybody could talk about whatever they liked. I did that for about 6 months and everything went pretty well. During this time, everybody thought that I was going to be a board member for this club that was going on in the Kansas City micro business arena. And during that time, a lot of people were calling me offline in the micro business world, and they were concerned about stuff that was happening in one of the clubs. There were 3 clubs that were servicing the cannabis industry, the micro business cannabis industry. There was a state, MoCan, and then we'll just call them Club C, right? I don't want to disparage anybody or talk bad about anybody. So this group was on my calls every week. They were talking about their group. We had a pretty amicable relationship, but people were coming to me with concerns about this other group. So I decided that it had merit that we should put together a meeting to talk about forming a new group that would support people in the cannabis community that weren't being represented. And things went pretty bad at this meeting. Give me the next slide, please. I looked it up. I actually had AI look it up just to make sure that I wasn't being a little snowflake about what being canceled means so that I could check it out. So, to be canceled means to be publicly shamed or socially exiled. It's an attempt to silence someone by invading their ideas, their voice. Oh, is this working better? Is that better? Oh, much better. Okay, right on. And their very presence in the community. The goal of cancellation, it's not about finding common ground. It's about having a constructive debate. It's about a hostile takeover. It's often fueled by a mob mentality and rooted in personal, not professional disagreements. So the effect of being canceled can make you feel isolated, discredited, and powerless. It creates a feeling your entire world is falling apart, and it's a truly ugly and nasty experience. So what does it look like when that's happening? You'll see a lot of personal attacks, lies and disinformation, gaslighting, and silence of supporters. I feel like all these things happened. Can you change the slide? If not, that's okay. You don't have to take my word for it. There'll be a slide that comes up with a QR code. You can scan the code and you can see the entire meeting for yourself. You can decide if I got canceled or not, what it looks like, right? So on this meeting, it was not pleasant. It was mostly personal attacks and lies. There was not much constructive criticisms or talking about how things could go better or worse. But it happened, right? It was 40 minutes of some of the 40th minutes, most uncomfortable minutes of my life. During the call, nobody spoke up on my behalf, including the people that encouraged me to do this, except for my wife. She's the only person that spoke up on my behalf, and she just asked everybody to try and be respectful on the call. So thank you for that. So yeah, that was a really unpleasant experience. It happened. Afterwards, my wife was horrified by what had happened. I was pretty upset too, but I was more upset by how my wife was upset than what had happened to me. She refused to let me participate any more micro-business stuff anymore after what happened to me. So I sent out a letter to the community and said, hey, that was my last meeting. I'm not doing it anymore, I'm out. My wife wanted me to sell my license and get out. That's how bad it was. This cancellation thing really hurt us a lot. So for about a month, I was just kind of lost. I didn't know where to go or what to do or how to recover from this. All I knew is that I wasn't doing anything with the micro business anymore. So what I did was a common military tactic. I just did a pivot. I was just going to do the same thing I was already doing, but in a slightly different way, right? I'm just going to move over this way. I had some contact lists of people that were interested in cannabis. I had a lot of people that knew me. I still had some people that thought I had a good reputation in the community. And so I decided to start doing a weekly podcast. And I started showing up at some events in Kansas City. Irish Fest was my first cannabis event that I ever been to last year. And it was terrible. I showed up and the video was awful. You couldn't hear any of the quality. We've come a long way since then. Just last month, or just here a few weeks ago, my wife and I were invited as members of the press to go cover MJ Unpacked, the biggest cannabis exposition in Missouri. And we were there covering the whole thing. And now I'm here talking in front of you, right? Yeah. So I'm just going to summarize this quickly by saying that you can go to the last slide, please. There's the code. I'll give you a code if you want to see the train wreck. I'll give you the code later. What's that? Oh, I still have 3 minutes. Okay. All right. So what do you do when you get canceled? Something like this happens to you. Well, don't stop doing what you're doing. Keep going. Believe in yourself, right? Do that. And haters are a measure of success. Believe that. Your haters will make more noise about what you're doing than you can do. Don't get mad at your haters. Let them hate, right? Hate on. And don't apologize unless you did something wrong. Don't apologize. And the last thing I want to mention is what you should do. Maybe you should lean into it a little bit. I put the QR code up here so everybody can see that fiasco. Another thing I'm hoping to do is on December 18th, when this whole thing happened, I'm planning on throwing a cancellation party and inviting everybody that was there to show up, right? So this is not a story that ends in defeat. It's a story about resilience, and I'm telling it on my podcast every week. Like and subscribe. Subscribe to my channel to hear more positive and informative stories about the cannabis space, especially in Missouri and the Kansas City area. Thanks so much for everybody for your attention.
Give it up for David.
Yeah.